where silence weighs heavy and shadows hide secrets, a young man finds himself trapped in a nightmare. What begins as subtle disturbances, strange noises, a flicker in the dark, quickly turns into a terrifying game of cat and mouse, with a grinning stranger who watches from the dark. This is the story of the Grinning Man in the Woods, a tale of fear, isolation, and the unknown that waits just beyond the trees. When Jamie moved into the cabin, deep in the woods, he thought he was escaping the chaos of the city. No cars, no honking, no blaring sirens, just the sound of wind through trees and birdsong at dawn. It was perfect for his writing. Solitude was what he craved. But on the sixth night, something disturbed the silence. Just after midnight, he heard it. A faint tap, tap, tap. It was soft, almost gentle, like fingertips on glass. He sat up in bed, straining his ears, holding his breath. Another tap. It came from the front window, the one facing the tree line. He told himself it was a branch, swaying in the wind. Just the forest being the forest. But the sound had rhythm, deliberate, almost like a question. The next night, Jamie stayed up. Curiosity itched in his bones. He sat at his desk, laptop open, but untouched. His eyes locked on the front window. Hours passed. Midnight came. The forest outside was still, completely still. Then, tap. He jumped, but didn't move. Another tap. Slowly, he walked to the window. He pulled the curtain aside, just a sliver. And there he was, a man, tall and unmoving, standing just beyond the edge of the porch, pale face lit by the moon, lips stretched into a wide, unnatural grin, eyes black, like holes. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He just stood there, smiling at Jamie, the kind of smile that didn't belong to a sane person. Jamie stumbled back, heart pounding. When he looked again, the man was gone. Jamie didn't sleep that night. The man's face burned into his memory. He tried to convince himself it was a hallucination, stress maybe. But the next night confirmed the truth. At exactly midnight, Jamie peeked through the blinds again. The man was back, closer this time. Not at the tree line, not even on the porch. He was right outside the window, inches away. His smile stretched wider now, like it hurt to hold. Jamie staggered back, nearly knocking over the lamp. He didn't hear a knock, didn't hear footsteps. But when he looked again, the man had vanished. Jamie checked the locks, every door, every window. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was already inside. Amy wasn't completely alone. He had Max, his golden retriever, always calm, always loyal. But even Max sensed something was wrong. That night, when the tapping returned, Max growled, a low rumbling sound Jamie had never heard from him before. Then Max charged out through the dog door, barking like mad. Jamie grabbed a flashlight and followed into the cold dark. "Max," he shouted. Nothing but wind. Then, a yelp, a sharp, sudden sound, cut short. Jamie froze. For a moment, there was only silence, then rustling, then nothing. He searched the woods until dawn. Max was gone. No paw prints, no blood, just silence. At first light, Jamie searched again. The ground was still wet from last night's rain. He followed Max's tracks through the mud until they stopped, and beside them, something else. Bare human footprints, deep, sunken, unnaturally long toes. They didn't lead to or from anywhere. They just began, then vanished. Jamie stood in the clearing, breath visible in the morning air, heart pounding. Something unnatural had been out there, and it left no trail because maybe it didn't walk away. Maybe it stayed close, watching, waiting. That afternoon, Jamie nailed wooden boards across every window. Every creak of the floor made his skin crawl. He even blocked the chimney. When night came, he sat in the corner with a baseball bat, watching candlelight flicker against the walls. No tapping this time, just silence. Then scratching, not on the windows, on the walls, on the outside. It moved from one wall to the next, slow, deliberate. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Jamie didn't dare look. He just whispered to himself, "It's just the wind." But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Desperate, Jamie called the police. 2 officers came that afternoon, skeptically sipping coffee as he told them about the man, the smile, the missing dog. They searched the woods, found nothing. "You've been alone too long," one said. "Maybe it's just wildlife." Jamie almost believed them, until one officer knocked over a rock near the edge of the trees and found something beneath it. A small pile of bones, clean, polished, arranged like a pattern. They both went silent. "We'll file a report," they said, and left before dark. That night, Jamie heard breathing, not his own. It was wet, guttural, like something that had never learned how to breathe. Right. He stood still, barely daring to move. The sound came from the living room, just on the other side of the door. He held his breath. The breathing continued. Then it stopped. Jamie slowly opened the door. Nothing, but the window was open. He swore he had locked it. A cold breeze brushed against his face, and with it, the faint smell of soil and rot. Amy began marking each night in a notebook, as if logic and routine could fight madness. But on the 11th night, something changed. There was no tapping, no scratching, just silence. At 12:04 a.m., he went to the kitchen for water and froze. The back door was unlocked. He was certain he had bolted it. On the counter, something new. Muddy fingerprints, long, narrow, not his. He hadn't heard footsteps, hadn't seen movement, which meant he had been inside, watching, breathing. Jamie checked every room, holding the bat like a sword. But the man was gone, and the smile, Jamie could still feel it in the walls. The next morning, Jamie looked at himself in the mirror and stopped. Something was wrong. His face looked the same, but unfamiliar. Office, like someone pretending to be him. Then, he noticed something in the corner of the mirror. A shadow behind him. He turned. Nothing. When he looked back, it was gone. But in the reflection, his bedroom door had slowly creaked open. He hadn't heard it move. The mirror didn't lie. But the house, it did. And maybe the man didn't just want to be seen. Maybe he wanted to be inside Jamie, wearing him like a suit. Desperate to understand, Jamie searched the cabin's attic. The previous owner had vanished years ago. In a dusty trunk, he found a journal, torn pages, rambling entries. "He smiles even when I sleep," one said. Another, "He doesn't knock anymore. He comes through the walls." The last page was stained, torn halfway down. "You can't kill what smiles through death." Jamie dropped the book. His hands shook. He wasn't the first. The man had been here before, and the journal wasn't a warning. It was a eulogy. That night, Jamie nailed the attic shut. Every creak above made his skin crawl. Then, just before sleep, he heard something new. Drip, drip, from the ceiling. He looked up. A single wet spot, growing slowly, and in the center, something moved. A black pupil. It blinked. Jamie screamed, stumbled back, but when he looked again, the ceiling was dry. No hole, no stain, but the floor was damp with something foul. He didn't dare touch it. He just sat there, shaking, whispering to himself. He's not outside anymore. At 3:33 a.m., Jamie woke to a whisper. Not words, just breath, thick, cold. It came from the closet. He grabbed his flashlight, flicked it on, and stepped closer. The door creaked as he opened it. Empty, at first, then, behind the coats, a mouth, just a mouth, grinning. It moved, whispering laughter, mocking. Jamie slammed the door shut, nailed it closed, but the laugh didn't stop. It echoed in his ears, and in that moment, he finally understood. The man wasn't haunting the cabin. He was haunting him. Jamie tried one last thing. Fire. He lit the old fireplace, hoping it would burn whatever followed him. The flames crackled warmly. The room, bright for once, for a brief moment. He felt safe. Then, the fire shifted. The smoke twisted unnaturally. And there, in the flames, was the man's face, grinning, laughing, without sound. His eyes locked onto Jamie. The fire roared higher, unnatural blue sparks spitting out. Jamie screamed and threw water onto it. The fire died instantly, but the smell of burning flesh lingered. Jamie left the cabin the next morning, drove without stopping, eyes bloodshot, hands trembling. The police found the place abandoned. Weeks later, walls scratched from the inside, mirrors shattered, no sign of Jamie, just a smile drawn in ash above the fireplace. They never found him, but in nearby towns, late at night, people whisper about a man in the woods. He doesn't speak, he doesn't blink, he just grins, wide and crooked, and if you stare too long, he starts to look like someone, you know. Some horrors never leave, even when the woods grow silent again. The grin remains, a silent reminder that what watches from the darkness is never truly gone. So, if you ever find yourself alone among the trees, listen closely and pray the grinning man isn't watching you.